Our film starts with a quick recap of the previous film, as these films are really just one really long one. Anyway, as the film actually starts, we see Rebecca outside of the crypt where she left Michelle. She changes clothes into slightly less clothes because we have to sell tickets, and then she runs off. Back in the crypt, Radu's mother curses and does some witchy mumbo jumbo, which brings Radu back to life. Back with Rebecca, she heads to a tavern where everyone is staring at some hot American girl wearing nothing but a coat, as if that doesn't happen every day. She asks for a phone and calls the U.S. Embassy. Next, we see good old Detective Marin and company follow her back to the crypt where they find the professor's dead body, but no sign of anyone else. Marin and Mel then tell her she's crazy for the umpteenth time, and while they argue about it, Rebecca heads back down. We didn't see the sun go down. Rebecca hears the cackle of Radu's mother, followed by us seeing Michelle wake up, and now a very alive Radu confront her. Radu's mother states they need to leave, so they grab Michelle and do some weird enchantment and warp away, leaving smoke and flashing lights everywhere, resulting in the police running for their lives. Mel finally is like, okay, maybe something might be happening, and Marin thinks it was a bomb. Mel drives Rebecca back to her hotel, and Rebecca tells him she doesn't want to be alone and asks him to stay with her, which I'm not sure if he gets overtime for, but why not? Back with Radu and Michelle, Radu decides it's time to train his puppy. He drops a cage over her and tells her her first lesson is patience, as she has all the time in the world. He then does his shadow warping into the bedroom of Rebecca, stares at her for a second, but then is distracted by some way hotter lady walking down a dark empty street by herself singing. Again, another opportunity for Radu where he could end the movie in the first 20 minutes, but chooses not to, but the guy's kind of a perv, so again, I get it. Anyway, he takes the woman back to Michelle, rips her shirt off, and then feeds on her in front of her. This makes Michelle's fangs come out of hunger. He sets the woman down in front of her, and she then feeds. I hope Lesson 2 is how to do it without sobbing, because neither Mara or Lillian had any issues when they returned in part 1. The segment ends with Radu and Michelle laying back in their tomb before daylight. Back in Bucharest, Mel and Rebecca break the news to the professor's secretary, or wife, not sure if they really specify her relationship to him. Mel then heads to the professor's office and grabs the vampire hunting gear, which I'm pretty sure he had with him and used in the last film, but maybe these are extras. Marin heads to Castle Vladislav, demanding to be let in. They then go digging up the shallow grave that used to belong to Lillian just for Rebecca and Mel to show up and try to figure out how to get around him. Rebecca and Marin go into it about how slow the investigation is going, but he eventually helps them get in once no one is looking, making it the literal first time in the franchise he was useful. Unfortunately, the one time he was useful led to a dead end, as Radu had blocked the entrance. Marin tells Mel to contact his boss about getting a warrant. Mel and Rebecca stay back to watch the place and see after dark that Radu's mother is there. Back with Radu and Michelle, he again tries to explain to her that it's her ties to her sister that's keeping her from enjoying the whole vampire lifestyle. She begs them to leave Rebecca alone and she will do anything. Radu's mother says that she should be destroyed as she's affecting him, which totally isn't foreshadowing at all, which is 100% sarcasm by me. He tells Michelle she must now prove she's ready. In Bucharest, we see that Marin is staking out Rebecca's hotel room. There, Mel is reading the professor's book about King Vladislav, and apparently the story of the king murdering a bunch of people turns Rebecca on because they start getting it on. That is, until she starts having PTSD of the happenings of what I think was the night before in this timeline, or at least the same week, which is understandable. Back with Radu and Michelle, the next lesson is hunting for herself. She first learns short-distance teleportation, then Radu wants her to hunt a violin player, apparently because he thinks the guy sucks at playing it. That's not me making a snarky joke, he actually says this is the reason. Michelle goes to him and basically just looks creepy hot, which makes him put the violin down. He follows her, and she has to be told by Radu to take him, but all she really does is fang out, and Radu ends up feeding on him himself.
Take him.
Another woman stops to see what's going on, with the same result of Michelle fanging out at her and Radu coming from behind and feeding. The woman's screams gets the attention of Rebecca, who heads to the window in time to notice Marin was spying on them. Just before dawn, Radu and Michelle have a heart-to-heart, no pun intended, on what can kill a vampire. She then asks Radu to kill her, but he promises her that eventually she'll not hate being a vampire, and that he loves her. He then lets her feed on him. After she feeds on him, she tells him how much she hates him. I guess his blood didn't taste that good. Back at the village, the villagers are very angry as the two people are missing. They're telling Marin that vampires are responsible and blaming Rebecca and Mel, which isn't exactly wrong though. Marin thinks the villagers are also crazy. Mel and Rebecca head back to the castle and this time have backup from a guy named Bob, who's a special agent who is self-aware that he's the red shirt in this movie, even stating that he's just a cameo. Marin also joins them and they take all the military gear and storm the castle by climbing the window Rapunzel style. Bob and Mel get in and find the witch torturing the young village girl. Bob goes all Rambo on her with a machine gun and gets a knife in the head for his trouble. Mel gets captured and Radu's mother cackles into the radio. Marin wants to leave to get help, but we know what Rebecca's going to do, especially since the sun's going down. Rebecca tells Marin that Michelle is off limits, and Marin says he's just going to head to where it's most dark, where no one will see him because he's still clueless. As night falls, Michelle once again wakes up, and Radu continues to try to woo her and also feeds on her. Mel wakes up in a cage next to the village woman as Radu's mother is still laughing. That is until she sees that Radu gave Michelle her necklace and she freaks. They then have a jealous mom talk where mom once again tells Radu that she's ruining him and that she must die. Radu's mom goes to stab Michelle, and Radu basically dismembers his mother and throws her still talking severed head into the fireplace. He then sulks that all he has now is Michelle. He tries to guilt her by letting her know that he has killed his entire family for her, which clearly isn't true, considering he killed his father before he even met her and was only stopped by the son from killing her after he took out Stefan in the previous movie. Anyway, Mel tries to get Michelle's attention to let her know he's a friend. Instead, she's talked into biting his arm, but just before she does, Rebecca, with the greatest timing in the world, distracts her on the radio, and Michelle goes looking for her. Radu destroys the radio. Michelle then barters to get to talk to Rebecca one more time, and if she gets to, he'll have her undying devotion, and Radu agrees. They have almost the same exact conversation from part 2, then Rebecca then forgets how vampires work and doesn't understand why Michelle is cold. Marin, being Marin, gets ambushed by Radu. Radu then shows up with the sisters, and Rebecca threatens Radu with a gun if she doesn't let everyone go. Radu invites them in, and he makes it look like he's going to let them go, but then tells Michelle to take them. Michelle confronts Rebecca, begging her to kill her. When she won't, Michelle takes the gun, goes to shoot herself, but then turns it around on Radu as the humans watch instead of, leaving. Michelle takes the bloodstone, and they all eat together, but as you've probably guessed, the sun starts to come up. As they run, they are continually cornered by Radu. Mel and Rebecca then place Michelle in a body bag to prevent her from burning. Radu then shows up, demanding the bloodstone. Rebecca throws it, resulting in Radu burning in the sun while trying to retrieve it. If that didn't kill him, he also throws himself off the castle wall, getting his burned corpse impaled on a tree. The film ends with his burning flesh dripping onto the ground and turning into a stop-motion demons who then find the bloodstone. And that is the final end to the Subspecies franchise. Except it isn't. Starting 4 years later, we get 2 prequels and a sequel that does a really good job of making this ending pointless, just like Part 2 did a pretty good job of making the ending of Part 1 pointless. Our next stop in the Subspecies mythos, a prequel film called Vampire Journals. Thanks for watching. If you like these recaps, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. There is now an option to be a channel member where you'll get access to exclusive recaps from late-night vampire catalogs like Showtime, Cinemax After Dark, USA Up All Night, and much more. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where members can get exclusive content that can't be uploaded on YouTube, along with download options. Link is in the description.